Coming up on tonight's UAP News Show.
A new UFO analysis report. Is AARO up to their usual shenanigans?
Is Elon Musk in the know about aliens?
Timothy Good speculates on the JFK assassination.
And there's nothing top secret about extraterrestrial UFOs.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie. We are back at it again for another episode of UAP Society's weekly UAP and UFO news show. I am stoked to get started, so without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Greetings, cosmic enthusiasts. It's Justin here. Let's dive right in.
All right, here we go. A new UFO analysis report. Is AARO up to their usual shenanigans? This just in, we have a new analysis report of materials thought to be of extraterrestrial origin from a UFO crash that happened back in 1947. And no, it was not Roswell, it was a different one. However, the report's conclusions are dismissive, and AARO seems to be up to their usual nothing to see here shenanigans, with Kirkpatrick pants lurking behind the curtains.
According to a tweet from John Greenwald Jr. with theblackvault.com, he says the DoD analysis on alleged extraterrestrial alloy was done by Oak Ridge National Labs. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, head of AARO, most likely was in charge of contracting that at the time. He has since retired from AARO and was hired by none other than Oak Ridge National Labs.
Sus much?
To learn more about this story and dive into the details, let's take a look at this vetted clip to catch up to speed.
Breaking news, vetters. It appears that a piece of a UFO crash has been tested and the findings have been released. Here we go. This is from John's article right here. So AARO releases findings on suspected extraterrestrial alloy, right? The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office published 2 reports detailing the analysis of a magnesium alloy specimen that has been the subject of much speculation. The specimen, purportedly recovered from a crashed extraterrestrial vehicle in 1947, has been alleged to exhibit extraordinary properties, including functioning as a terahertz waveguide and generating anti-gravity capabilities. How do they test it? AARO gets the piece. They contract Oak Ridge National Laboratory to perform the analysis of these pieces here, right? Now, what's interesting about Oak Ridge National Laboratory is that Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick left AARO to go work for Oak Ridge National Labs.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is what Dr. Gary Nolan had to say about this back in January, when it was known that this was going to be studied and then the findings would be released, right? So this is in January of earlier this year. Gary says, well, I personally have 2 pieces of it through 2 chains of evidence. Speaking of these same pieces, right? The material is so fragile at this point, it crumbles easily. I've made burnt toast with more resilience. I don't know of any missile casing so fragile that could have survived transport and loading, never mind the acceleration of being fired. It would be dust before it left the firing tube. Both of my pieces exhibit extreme layering. So I look forward to Dr. Kirkpatrick's peer-reviewed data, as well as all the other claims he has made. Has he released any data from any of the claims? Did I miss something? All right, AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, right? Supplement to Oak Ridge National Laboratory's analysis of a metallic specimen. So this is July 2024 right now. This is breaking news, y'all. This just came out, right? So overview. In 2022, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office contracted with Oak Ridge National Laboratory. So this is saying in 2022, meaning Sean Kirkpatrick was not working for them yet. He was the head of AARO, right? The head of the AARO office here. To conduct materials testing on a magnesium alloy specimen. The specimen has been publicly alleged to be a component recovered from a crashed extraterrestrial vehicle in 1947. So a UFO, right? He's saying this came from a UFO in 1947. And it purportedly exhibits extraordinary properties, such as functioning as a terahertz waveguide to generate anti-gravity capabilities. Regardless, they're saying this piece came from a UFO, and it does some crazy shit. All right, bottom line, that's let's be real. All right, in April 2024, the Oak Ridge National Laboratory produced a summary of findings documenting the laboratory's methodology to assess this specimen's elemental and structural characteristics, available on AARO's website. Oak Ridge National Laboratory assessed this specimen to be terrestrial in origin and that it does not meet the theoretical requirements to function as a terahertz waveguide. AARO concurs with Oak Ridge National Laboratory's assessment and provides this supplementary material to add historical context to account for its likely origin. The specimen's characteristics are consistent with MG alloy research and development projects and experimental manufacturing methods in the mid-20th century. Despite these complicating factors, AARO draws two distinct conclusions from Oak Ridge National Lab's findings, right? First, the specimen's physical properties are consistent with the material of terrestrial origin, right? Materials exhibit a predictable isotopic signature when formed in and exposed to terrestrial conditions. This specimen's isotopic signature is consistent with terrestrial signatures and does not exhibit expected interstellar signatures. And second, the specimen's structural and elemental properties are inconsistent with the anisotropic and properties required to theoretically function as a waveguide.
Now, what's missing from that clip is the conclusion section of those documents, which we have right here for you. There's two different documents. There's the AARO supplement document, and then there is the Oak Ridge National Laboratory synopsis report. So do you want to go first?
All right, the first conclusion comes from AARO's supplement document, and it says, AARO concurs with Oak Ridge National Lab's findings that the specimen's isotopic composition indicates terrestrial origin. AARO also concurs with Oak Ridge National Lab's findings that its physical and elemental properties are incompatible with functioning as a terahertz waveguide. Considering all available evidence, AARO assesses that this specimen is likely a test object, a manufacturing product or byproduct, or a material component of aerospace performance studies to evaluate the properties of magnesium alloys.
Okay. This next conclusion comes from Oak Ridge National Laboratory synopsis report. It says, AARO secured Oak Ridge National Laboratory to independently assess the requirements necessary to confirm or contest public claims that this historical specimen is of non-terrestrial origin and that it is capable of functioning as a bismuth-based terahertz waveguide. Although the origin, chain of custody, and the ultimate purpose of this specimen remain unclear, a modern and robust analysis of its chemical and structural composition and properties does not indicate that its origin is non-terrestrial, nor do the data indicate that the material examined ever had the purest single crystalline bismuth layer that could possibly have acted as a terahertz waveguide. The intended or actual past use of the material remains undetermined, but Oak Ridge National Laboratory has a high level of confidence that all data indicate the material was manufactured terrestrially, albeit using an uncommon mixture of element by today's standards, and then incurred damage caused by mechanical and heat stressors. Which is a fancy way of saying people made it. It's some byproduct of
some type of manufacturing process.
Some type of manufacturing thing, and nothing to see here. Don't worry. It's Earth stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, they're saying that these materials came from like a warhead or like a missile casing or something like that.
Okay, right. But so AARO, under the leadership of Dr. Kirkpatrick, you know, I don't believe that they were forthcoming, you know, with telling the truth about, you know, a lot of the information that they've conveyed to us. You know, they have said, you know, that they've looked at, let's say, 90% of all the objects and video data that they have, right? And that they were able to identify them. And those are the cases that they presented to us, right?
Yeah.
They did not present to us the 2 or 3%, you know, of the really anomalous cases. So that begs the question, this material that they have and they tested, you know, is there another material, something else that, you know, that they are not sharing with us, that they tested? Is there another material that they tested but they're not sharing?
I mean,
I don't know.
I would not put it past them, to be honest with you.
You know, like they're going to show us the stuff that they can explain, the stuff that is terrestrial, the stuff that, you know, shows that it is from the Earth.
But that little 2% is what they keep hidden and hush hush and don't mention.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm with Dr. Nolan. You know, I want to see the peer-reviewed paper from Sean Kirkpatrick.
Right. Right.
I thought that was a pretty clever dig.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. I just feel like AARO is just pulling the same stunt once again. You know, it's like, we checked it out. Everything's good. You guys can go home. Nothing to see here. You know, it just gives that very like dismissive, like, here, stick a pacifier in your mouth. This should hold you over. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it could be just some random, you know, bullet or whatever that.
Well, I think they were saying a missile casing, but
whatever.
I mean, like Dr. Nolan said, you know, the material is so brittle and fragile.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you touch it and it crumbles, kind of thing, right?
How could it be a missile casing?
So it just goes to show that their explanation doesn't really have good credibility in terms of like the process that it would have to go through to be that thing.
Right. You know, the Oak Ridge National Lab, you know, that did the analysis on it. You know, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick works for them.
I know, and I don't find that to be a coincidence. I find that to be very, very interesting that Sean Kirkpatrick just happens to frequent AARO, and then he just so happens to slither over to Oak Ridge National Labs and frequent himself over there. And we're getting BS out of both places.
I don't know. You know.
Me neither.
Yeah, so do you guys trust Oak Ridge National Labs findings? Do you trust AARO? Do you find it sus that Kirkpatrick Pants just so happened to work for Oak Ridge National Lab after retiring from AARO? Do you think this material was just some leftover manufacturing byproduct, like the report says? Or is it something else being masked as they try to throw us all off? Let us know what you think in the comment section down below.
Up next, is Elon Musk in the know about aliens? Elon Musk, known for things like owning X, formerly known as Twitter, making Cybertrucks, sending rockets into space, and putting computer chips in people's brains. But is he read in on the existence of aliens? He's also been known to say, quote, if anyone would know about aliens on Earth, it'd probably be me, end quote. But is he just saying that in an effort to not blow his cover and let us know what he knows? Some people have even said that he might be an alien himself. That's a whole different scenario. This week, TMZ has put out another awesome video talking about all of this. So let's just take a look and see what they had to say.
Okay.
So there was a weird sighting from a SpaceX capsule. And look, I don't want to get all UFO-y on you. Please do, please do. But what is this? I love this video.
That was the top
now,
of the
in slow
rocket.
motion, this is it.
Oh, come on. All right, hang on. Hold that thought.
I think. I don't know.
Hold that thought.
It's this weird little thing.
It's something. Somebody say it's a bug.
Yeah, it's not a bug. It's not a bug. So,
Did somebody say a Cheeto?
Elon Musk has tried to debunk all of the UFO theories about this and other things. This, by the way, was just in June. This is Elon in the past, basically blowing up any UFO conspiracy theory.
If anyone would know about aliens on Earth, it would probably be me. I've seen no evidence of aliens.
This dude loves conspiracy theories, so if he's denying it, that gives me pause, meaning, like, is he hiding it like potentially these presidents, like Obama?
He loves money, so is he getting paid to not tell the truth?
I think it's simpler than that. I think Elon is a bit of a know-it-all blowhard, and I don't think he knows as much as he thinks he knows.
I was going to say that. Just because Elon says it doesn't make it so.
Who does Elon work with?
The government. The government.
That's the misconception everybody's forgetting. People think of Elon Musk as this private, wealthy citizen. He is running a space program within the framework and regulation of the U.S. government. So if there's anybody who needs to be briefed and is motivated to keep a secret, it's somebody who wants to continue their program running.
I was about to say the same thing, but You know, to his point when he said, you know, Elon is kind of like a know-it-all, I feel like because he doesn't have enough information, he's not gonna talk crazy about it. However, I do believe that if he is working with government agencies, he has to know something. And if multiple presidents have come out on late night talk shows and they've been like either maybe or they said, I'm not gonna say it all.
President Clinton told me that if he had seen evidence, he would tell everyone that he'd seen it. Do you feel the same way?
No.
No, you wouldn't.
He didn't even hesitate.
You don't think we can handle it?
No, I'm afraid. I'm afraid it might spin you into orbit.
Okay, all right.
If we were visited someday, I wouldn't be surprised. I just hope that it's not like Independence Day.
I feel like if the presidents have been briefed, Elon has been briefed too, and he knows something.
I'm not sure our government is going to trust him.
They are trusting him.
They're giving him permission to run his program. Of course they trust him.
He's overtaken NASA.
I personally know that he is interested in the subject. I can't say how I know that, but he has that division that runs these government contracts, right? And if you look at the UAP task force, I believe it was called at the time, the DOD's, investigation into this, they said some of these are picked up by multiple sensors, not just the F-18s that were chasing them.
That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like anything.
We're talking about satellite images, right? Satellites have picked these things up. So if he owns all these other satellites and images, don't you think possibly he's come across the same thing, right? And that maybe he's been encouraged not to talk about it?
Yeah.
There is nobody in the world who is allowed to shoot things off into space who does not have their government sniffing up in everything that they're doing, and they're going to keep control on it.
And by the way, maybe they are not telling him what they know. They're just telling him, don't say there are aliens, say they're not.
Yeah, this is not about Elon Musk. I mean, we're all acting like this is like the moon landing and everybody's lying, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who would also have to be lying about it. And I've been friends with them, and I'm telling you, they're not good liars. These are not people that can know that stuff. And they have access to the data. So if Elon knows, there's at least 500 people below him who also know.
I mean, not necessarily.
Yeah, I know.
As the largest launch provider in the world, I think, definitely in America, he is going to know about things because other companies hire him to send their own stuff into space. But the amount of space debris and junk in space, and that wasn't even in space, that was actually below it. That was below the Kármán line.
This particular video, you take case by case. That one, if you look right before, there was some debris zipping by. It's hard to tell if that was stationary because the declination, watch the camera go down.
There is no such thing as stationary in space.
No, relatively. Look, the declination of the camera going down, if that is relative to that staying stationary, it could like it's going up.
Yeah, it is going down.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what that particular one is, but you can imagine that all the people that work for him capturing these things are going to bring it to his attention. I believe he's seen other stuff.
Minutes before you see this, the booster separated from Starship itself. So I think it's just debris from the separation. There's only 4 times they've been able to do this, and most of them have been failures, quote unquote, for landing. And they actually stuck this launch when they brought it back into Earth. Literally just minutes before the booster separated. I think it's just small little parts flying off, which is normal.
He knows more than the average bear.
Yeah, I also think he likes to be a contrarian.
But if he's a contrarian, he's going to say they're aliens. That's what he's going to do if he's a contrarian. And he is a contrarian, so it's weird that he dismisses it this way, because it doesn't seem to be his personality.
For some reason, a lot of the same people who think there are aliens among us don't think we went to the moon. Which I'm like, think about that for a second.
Okay, so I know you have like 1,000 things going through your head. Go.
So I think what they saw in that video is just a piece of the booster rocket that separated after Starship separated from the booster.
Okay.
Right. So in that particular flight test, they're using basically a staging ring to connect the booster to the Starship.
Okay.
And because of its weight, they got rid of it so that they could then perform the landing burn and hopefully have the booster make it to a soft touchdown. future iterations of the booster are going to have a different style of staging ring or a different style of ring for Starship to connect to the booster. That's not going to be jettisoned.
Why do you think it was specifically that ring that we saw in that shot?
Just because of the shape of it. It's real flat, and it kind of has that rounded shape of that ring that they jettisoned literally 30 seconds before.
Okay, so you think it was part of the ship separation?
I think
not
that
a UFO and not any other kind of space debris. If it was labeled as space debris, it was related to the event that just occurred.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
With that being said, I have found some pretty anomalous looking objects from Falcon 9 boosters coming back to land. You know how they often will have the booster when it lands in the Caribbean, how they have video from the booster itself coming back in through the atmosphere. Well, I mean, I've actually stopped the video and went frame by frame.
You're making me nervous.
And she's always nervous that I'm gonna hit the mic
because he does it all the time, and then you hear like boom.
Okay, but all right, so I've actually recorded or not record. Well, yeah, I've actually found in their video where there are some things that I can't explain.
All right, well, since you're mentioning it in front of everybody, you're going to have to come with receipts, and we're going to have to edit that in somehow.
So yeah, we'll put the video in here.
Let's table that. But I want to pivot the conversation to Elon himself.
Okay.
So the guy in the video, Jordan Allen, said that if presidents have been briefed, then Elon has been briefed too. And when I heard that, I'm just like, nah, man.
Not necessarily.
Like, why are they putting Elon and the presidents on like the same level as like being in the need to know? I don't agree with that. I thought that was like way off. I thought that was off. So do you think that Elon is an alien? Do you think Elon has met an alien and that's why he's like got this obsession with going to space and occupying Mars and all this other stuff? Like, do you think he knows about aliens? All right, so is he one? Has he met one? Or does he just know about them? What do you think?
Is he one? Possibly.
Okay.
I don't know. Has he met one? Well, I don't know. Maybe he is one.
Okay, maybe all he's got to do is look in the mirror to meet an alien. Hey, maybe it's that simple.
Well, you know, Dr. Masters' recent paper study, thought experiment where are aliens walking among us? We covered it. Right? Who knows? Maybe he is one. I don't know.
Okay.
Right? But at the very least, I think if he were briefed, or if he were let into, hey, if you see these objects up there, don't say anything. It's ours or whatever.
Okay, so they gave him some kind of like
I think that would be probably the
training
most
kind of thing.
likely scenario.
Okay. I can see that. I just don't see him being read in, quote unquote.
No, I don't.
The same as presidents. I don't think we should be giving him that much credit.
Just saying. I mean, yeah, he's running a space, a company space program. Right?
Okay.
But I don't think they would necessarily brief him.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with the other guy in that conversation that said that he doesn't know as much as he thinks he knows. The quote where he said that, like, if anybody on Earth knows about aliens, I bet you it would be me. That's kind of arrogant in my opinion. And then he goes and denies and says, I haven't seen any evidence of aliens. Okay, well, where have you looked, Elon?
Right.
Okay,
realistically, what sensors does he actually have?
That's what I'm saying. Where has he looked? He doesn't do that. That's not his thing.
Right.
He just shoots shit off into space and makes it come back. And
yeah, I mean, they have video cameras on the rockets.
I just reduced that man's whole career to like
no,
he does a lot. He does a lot. Is it me, or is he one of them like love him or hate him kind of guys, or is that just my own assessment?
You're not the only one
do
that
people have
feels that way.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, it seems that people either really like Elon and support what he does and think he's like awesome and like the best thing since sliced bread, and then there's other people that are like, meh.
You know, I mean, it's like anybody else. You know, you're probably not going to like 100% of every person. You know,
Right.
That's
true.
Probably some aspects of, you know, like your best friends that you don't agree with. You know, I mean, right?
Sure.
You know, that's how I feel about Elon.
Okay.
I absolutely love that we are trying to go to Mars, and I love that he is, you know, like spearheading that effort.
Sure.
You know, I like the idea of electric vehicles. Sure. You know,
I think the Cybertruck is ugly.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's not for everybody, but
yeah, I know. I'm just being silly. I'm just making jokes.
Overall, I like Elon Musk.
I'm
not gonna lie.
I know.
Yeah. Overall,
I really feel
That
like I
doesn't
don't
mean I
really
always
have an
agree.
opinion too much either way. I don't like worship the dude. I don't hate the dude. He's just, you know, doing some stuff. But what do you guys think? I mean, was that a UFO or space debris caught on the SpaceX capsule cam? Do you think Elon has been briefed on aliens as much as a US president? Is Elon an alien himself? What other ideas came to your mind while watching this story? Let us know in the comment section below. And since we're speaking about having potential meetings with aliens, that's going to lead us into our next story.
Timothy Good speculates on the JFK assassination. Last week, we covered a story we called Our U.S. Presidents Read In on Aliens, in which we discussed whether or not JFK's assassination had anything to do with his knowledge of extraterrestrial life, and maybe even possibly his desire to disclose that information to others. Well, this week, that exact same conversation came up in a tweet from the UFO Joe that features a video where Richard D. Hall interviews UFO researcher Timothy Good that says, "What if acknowledging their reality turns things upside down? I think Kennedy was assassinated, and it was linked to the fact that he probably wanted to tell the public." Timothy Good. I think he was getting ready to tell Russia. And I think that's
what you
reason,
mentioned last
right.
week. Also,
but that's just my personal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anyway, let's take another look at that embedded video.
And do you think that we call it the cover-up? Do you think that's actually perpetrated by an alien force then, or do you think that's purely human beings?
That's a very good question, but I myself think, well, the two things I'd like to say about that is that, first of all, from what I've gathered, many of the aliens don't want us to know what they are doing here. And that's kind of understandable, and they could take retaliatory action if, say, those few people in the United States government wanted to start talking. And it's quite possible they've done that already. So it's not in their best interests.
Many people believe that the cover-up isn't purely perpetrated by the military or perhaps even the Illuminati, that there is a link with aliens who are in control of the disclosure or non-disclosure, shall we say.
Or non-disclosure.
People are receiving, or the power structure at the top of it is some kind of alien force.
I do indeed think that is the case, yes. And there's also corporate interests involved, huge sums, billions of money in the black budget is involved in this subject, and it's all covered under weaponry.
So how would, I mean, this is probably going to be a really difficult question, but how would that communication take place between, would it be in an office, just two people sitting, an alien sitting talking to someone in the UN or something like that? Or?
Well, probably not the United Nations, but certainly there have been meetings in offices, certainly involving the more human type that, you know, pass among us and are spies, if you like. Those meetings have taken place. Other meetings, I'm told, have been take place at the bases.
And some witnesses...
And that involves both of the basic types of aliens who communicate with us.
Do you think an American president, if he found out what was going on, gained some of this knowledge, do you think he would have the power to go for full disclosure?
I learned, for example, that President Kennedy in 1961, 1962 requested observation of the alien bodies recovered in some of these events, crash retrieval cases. His request was granted, and as I've written in Need to Know, he was taken on Air Force One to Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida, and he viewed the bodies. I don't know much more than that, except it was a top secret mission, and it was headed by General Godfrey T. McHugh. And interestingly, from another source, I learnt that General McHugh replaced one of the principal military attendees at Dallas on 22nd of November 1963 at the last minute. So you could put two and two together and make 22, but I don't know. I think Kennedy was assassinated
Linked to
to the fact that he probably wanted to tell the public.
Okay, so I just need to point out that this video touches on a lot of different important points that I just kind of want to like rattle off to you real quick. So the government cover-up of aliens, meetings with and possible agreements between aliens and our governments, the black budget reverse engineering programs, the types of aliens that our governments have met with, and then of course the JFK assassination and its potential relation to the alien cover-up. And synchronistically, but not really related, since we're talking about presidential assassinations. I mean, somebody just attempted an assassination on Donald Trump. Not that he's president currently, but that only happened like, what, 5 hours ago or something like that?
Yeah.
But right as we're preparing to like hop on to do this, Donald Trump gets shot in the ear.
Yeah, which is super unfortunate, and I mean, I just want to say that no matter what your political views are, you should never resort to violence.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's super unfortunate that something like this has happened again, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Donald Trump and his family, and we hope that he has a speedy recovery.
But anyway, so let's talk about what he said about JFK, because we just mentioned that last week, right?
Yeah.
So hard switch back to Timothy Good over here. So he's talking about how JFK saw some bodies. I didn't even know that part. I didn't know that part till I watched this video.
He said Tyndall Air Force Base,
which is in Florida. So it's crazy to think that we could potentially be that close to some alien body, right?
I mean, yeah, who knows? Who knows where they keep all the secret stuff at? I mean,
anywhere and everywhere, underground. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, this is making me think of. I once heard somebody say, who was in the military, and they were involved with transporting highly classified aircraft, and basically they said that you could be driving down the interstate and pass an 18-wheeler and have absolutely no idea that 18-wheeler tractor trailer contains one of the most highly classified objects that's in possession of our government. Well,
because they're not going to transport it in something that says top secret, don't look at me.
Exactly,
they're going to transport it in something that people
that looks
don't
like
even look
piece
twice
of crap
at.
Truck.
Yeah.
You would never think, that there's something special in there, right? But there is.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the same thing with the bases that are in our cities. I mean,
they could be transporting all kind of things.
Well, yeah, but it could be stored at the bases.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Sure.
There could be bodies, 10 miles from where you live.
There definitely could be.
Who knows?
I mean, who knows?
Who knows? It's very interesting to think about, though. What do you guys think?
Yep. Let us know in the comments. And as always, the link to this tweet, along with all other sources found in this show, can be found in the video description box below in the order that they appear. So make sure to check that out.
And last but not least, there's nothing top secret about extraterrestrial UFOs. Say what?
Yep.
Who said that? This week, journalist Matt Laszlo with Askapol met up with Representative Eric Burleson, who had a very interesting conversation about UAPs. They start off the conversation with talking about the UAP caucus's attempt to hire David Grush, and move on to other things like potential Senate hearings and Burleson's current opinion of AARO. So in this tweet from Askapol UAPs, they say, Representative Eric Burleson's exclusive. AARO has told Congressional UAP Caucus there's nothing top secret about extraterrestrial UFOs. It's the detection technologies that are classified.
There's always that little caveat,
Okay,
right?
then why can't then why can't they tell us about them? I mean, if there's nothing classified about it, extraterrestrial UFOs, I mean, then what the hell?
Keep reading.
I don't know. And then, as a bonus, update on UAP Caucus attempt to hire David Grush. See, I didn't know that either. I didn't know that they were trying to hire him.
I don't think it really amounted to anything, but
well, it's cool that they're trying to hire him. But anyway, let's listen to that conversation.
And keep in mind that Ask a Poll's audio always has a crap ton of background noise. You always hear other people's conversations, elevator doors dinging, cars beeping outside, people's feet on the sidewalk. So just
keep
that in mind when you listen.
He has to chase these Congress people down.
Yes, I know. I don't want people to be like, it's hard to understand, because I mean, honestly, that's what I first thought, but it is what it is. You got to take it for what it is. Just listen.
Whatever happened to potentially hiring Grush?
Well, I could only do it under a committee.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the day, we can't get Johnson to give us a committee.
Yeah. Do you think some of that might change post-election?
Because what we determined is that he really wouldn't have as much authority as a staffer, individual staffer, for me, per se, like if I hired him directly. Yeah. The other thing is, like, it would be difficult to hire him, like, to take up one whole position in a congressional, you have very few, for that specific purpose. Yeah. So I was trying to get him to be a shared role. Yeah. And then, but even then we determined he would be limited as to what, he could do.
Where do you see that going, the investigation? Because Jill Brand says she might have a Senate hearing end of July or September.
I hope that I think we need a better committee, a committee that has dedicated staff. Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to continue to just fumble around in the dark.
Yeah. What do you think? Have you met? Last we spoke, you seem to be showing confidence in AARO. Do you still have that same level of confidence, or?
I don't.
We're in the shade. It's too hot for this shit.
They must be on the sidewalk.
I don't know that I trust anybody in this town.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that from that meeting, and I kind of, the more I reflect on it, the more I realized that the key takeaway is that they didn't have answers and they didn't have data for two of the biggest UAP events in recent history.
Oh, interesting.
And so, while I feel like, did a very good job in my mind, and I think that when I talk to people who are in the UAP community, especially after that hearing, they generally agree with this, that what they did was they showed us a lot of known UAP events, and they debunked them. And I felt like they adequately, in my mind, did that. Yeah. But and enough that many of them they were public things that I've seen, that you've seen. Yeah. But and they've investigated thousands and thousands of things. Now, is their claim? I found it interesting that they say that there is nothing top secret about extraterrestrial UFOs. Yeah. The only thing that is top secret is any of our technology that might have been involved. Yeah. And if that technology, so if we had devices that recorded it, or captured the footage, or whether it was radar or whatever, all of that is top secret. Yeah. But the item itself is not. And so I don't know. They were pretty adamant about that, and that their attitude is, look, if we find something, we're going to make it public.
Yeah, interesting.
But so long as it doesn't compromise our technology.
Our toys.
Yes.
They always focus on what they've uncovered. But I'm like, doesn't the focus on the stuff that you still don't know?
Right.
That they still don't know?
Right. Well, and I think that, and this is where I come down to, is that we don't know, and I don't think we should jump to a conclusion of what it might be either. So to me, I think that we should continue to investigate. I'm not closing the door completely that there is that this is extraterrestrial, but I would say, I said this multiple times, like throughout this process, like my worldview has not changed, but in a way I kind of want it to.
Yeah.
Right. I want it would be amazing, and it would be the biggest news in the history of the planet since Jesus Christ.
So, what do you think?
Well, they covered a lot of different things, so I have like a lot of different thoughts. First thing that comes to mind is that I'm excited for these potential upcoming Senate hearings that he was talking about. I think that we can definitely make some progress if we have more hearings. We can bring more information to light. We can press more people about bringing more information to the light.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's a good step in towards like actually getting somewhere. I think that he sounded disappointed in AARO's efforts at the last few UAP events, rightfully so.
Yeah, as I have been also.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in those cases that they haven't been able to explain yet.
Right. I mean, he even said in that interview, like that he was satisfied with the debunking that they did of the cases that they presented. But like you said, what about the ones that they can't explain?
What about the Tic Tac event?
They neatly presented the ones that can be debunked, but they conveniently ignored all of the rest, the ones that are most interesting. And of course, the headline of the story is that there's nothing top secret about extraterrestrial UFOs. The only thing that is top secret is any of our tech that might have been involved, like recording, like a video of it or radar that detected it, as long as the tech isn't compromised. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I can see that point.
But they haven't disclosed anything.
Right.
We haven't seen a thing.
So basically, if they're saying if they find something special, that they're going to tell us, as long as it doesn't compromise, any detection capabilities, right?
But they're always going to tie it to detection capabilities, right, and they're always going to tie it to national defense secrets that can't be told, because then the enemies will know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just another play on words, to be honest.
Okay.
Another way for them to say, look, nothing to see here, because we would have told you about it.
All right.
They didn't.
Well, while we're talking about UFOs in Congress, let me throw this one last thing in here for you to consider. This tweet from Dean Johnson says, Congressional UFO update. Rounds and Schumer file UAP Disclosure Act. Senator Rounds filed the UAP Disclosure Act as a possible floor amendment to fiscal year 25 National Defense Authorization Act, with Majority Leader Schumer as lead co-sponsor. And there's also an article attached to that tweet, so let's take a look at that together. All right, here we have an article called Senators Rounds and Schumer Submit a UAP Disclosure Act as Possible Amendment to NDAA. Let's check it out. This is by Douglas Dean Johnson, posted Saturday, July 13th, 2024 at 2:45 p.m. And it says, Senator Mike Rounds has introduced a version of the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act, or UAPDA, with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer as lead co-sponsor. Senator Rounds, who is a member of both the Intelligence and Armed Services Committees in the U.S. Senate, on July 11th, 2024, submitted the UAPDA text as a possible floor amendment to the fiscal year 2025 National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA. The text of the new Rounds-Schumer UAP Disclosure Act appears on pages S4943-4950 of the July 11th, 2024 edition of the Congressional Record, which was posted online July 13th. The entire text of the Rounds-Schumer amendment is embedded below in a PDF file. While I have not yet had the opportunity to thoroughly review the Rounds-Schumer language as submitted, it appears to largely track the Schumer-Rounds UAPDA that was incorporated into the fiscal year 24 NDAA that passed the Senate on July 27th, 2023. The 2023 version of the UAPDA was later gutted in conference negotiations with the House of Representatives due mostly to opposition from the Pentagon. A much narrower provision requiring the National Archives and Records Administration to collect certain UAP-related records was enacted. The new Rounds-Schumer proposal retains controversial provisions providing creation of a presidentially appointed Senate-confirmed Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Records Review Board. Whoa.
a temporary federal agency with broad powers, including subpoena and eminent domain authorities. It also retains eyebrow-raising definitions for such key operative terms as non-human intelligence, technologies of unknown origin, unidentified anomalous phenomena, and legacy program. So what happens next? Senate Majority Leader Schumer has not yet announced when the full Senate will take up NDAA. So far, over 800 possible floor amendments have been filed. Under Senate rules, each senator has the theoretical right to offer any number of freestanding floor amendments to an authorization bill such as NDAA, and perhaps to force roll call votes on each. But in practice, there are many constraints. The managers of the NDAA of both parties would not be disposed to subject the bill to a wide open floor amendment process, which would be politically fraught and could consume many days of floor time. Moreover, any senator has the power to create a 60-vote hurdle for any amendment. Thus, each year, agreements are negotiated to limit the number and subject matter of amendments to the NDAA. Most of these negotiations occur out of public view. I make no predictions as to the prospects for the ultimate Senate passage of the Brown-Schumer amendment this year. It is noteworthy that in 2023, Majority Leader Schumer was the lead sponsor of the measure, but that the key role has now been assumed by Senator Rounds, who is a very capable senator, but a member of the minority party in the Senate. However, I will predict that if the UAPDA does clear the Senate this year, the UAPDA must first become part of the NDAA through some broader package deal. Example, as part of a multi-subject manager's amendment, or within a bill-wide write-over called a substitute amendment. That would occur through a process of behind-the-scenes negotiations, not by floor debate and a roll call vote on the Senate floor. What I am describing here is also the way in which many other amendments on diverse subjects will also be resolved. Most likely, only a small number of subject-specific amendments to NDAA will receive separate roll call votes on the Senate floor, and I would be very surprised to see any UAP-related provisions receive such a vote. No UFO-related amendment has ever been the subject of a separate, issue-specific roll call vote on the floor of either House of Congress. Even if the UAPDA, or something derived from it, does clear the Senate as part of NDAA, such language would still face conference committee negotiations with the House of Representatives. The House-passed version of NDAA, H.R. 8070, contains no UAP-related provisions, nor have I seen any evidence that the Pentagon's negative posture towards the UAPDA has softened since 2023. In many years, but not all, the Intelligence Authorization Act is merged with the National Defense Authorization Act at some stage in the legislative process. When this is done, the final votes in the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate are on a merged NDAA-IAA, and the two measures are sent to the president as a single bill. Apparently seeking to follow this path again this year, Senator Mark Warner, chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, on July 11th filed the text of the fiscal year 25 Intelligence Authorization Act as a proposed amendment to NDAA. As approved by the SSCI, the IAA contains several UAP-related provisions, which I described in a long post on X/Twitter on June 24th, 2024, found in the link below. Then he goes and shows it. And then he says the text of those House UAP-related sections of the Intelligence Authorization Act as submitted by Senator Warner as SA 2274 appear below, reproduced from page S4632 of the July 11th, 2024 congressional record. Then he goes and shows that and finishes off this article by saying, I will post further updates as most information becomes available. My Gmail address is my full name, Douglas D. Johnson, with dots between the names.
So I think as long as they have that language in there of eminent domain, that this legislation will not pass.
You think they're going to argue that all day long, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. That's been the controversial thing since that language was first used, really. It's never been received well, I don't think.
I mean, I'm going to go back to what I said in a previous episode. You know, I think they should spell out, you know, the certain companies that they will have authorization to go and look at.
Okay. Then places like Skinwalker Ranch that probably wouldn't be listed probably won't be fighting this,
right?
For fear of, you know, the event of a UFO crash landing in their backyard, that they get to keep it themselves rather than the government coming in and confiscating it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like I said before, like I've stated before, I can see both sides.
We've talked about that part before.
I can see both sides of the argument. You know, I can see the need to go in, you know, to, like, let's say Lockheed Martin has tabled, you know, the technology for later time, you know, because we can't figure it out now. Well, maybe in 10 years we'll have the tools to figure it out. So we'll just put it on the shelf, right? And wait till then. No, you know, no, you know, I mean, you let other people have a crack at it, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, that's not too far out there of a concept, is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Now, let's say Skinwalker Ranch, let's say they find something in the Mesa, which has been, you know, theorized on the show quite heavily that there's something there. You know, let's say they actually find something, and then the government now has this authority to, you know, let's say the UAP or the AARO, you know, now has this authority to come in and take whatever they want, you know. No, I don't agree with that at all.
Okay.
You know, so I think as long as they have that language written how it's written in the NDAA or in the amendment, it's not going to pass.
Well, we shall see. The only thing we can do is wait and see what happens, right?
Yeah. Now, I want it to pass.
Sure.
I really do.
Okay.
But I really don't think it will pass with that language as it's written.
You think they're going to still dig their heels in the ground and put up a fight?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be a case of the mics against the legislation again.
Hopefully we won't have like a complete deja vu moment, or, you know, like a complete, oh, we've been here, we've done this before thing, because progress is what we really need.
It is. It is, you know. History has a strange way of repeating itself, but
I know.
Hopefully we can keep our fingers crossed and, you know, get past that hump this time. I hope.
Right. What are your thoughts on these comments from Representative Eric Burleson? Do you think the new UAPDA will pass? If so, make sure to join the UAP Society Discord server and share with the community what you think. An invite link can be found in the video description box below, so make sure to go check that out and join. And tag me when you do. Say hello.
Yep, come say hi. And that concludes this week's UAP Society's UAP UFO News Show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And while you're here, do us a favor, smash the like button, click subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave us a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word.
Let's raise the collective consciousness together in unity.
All right,
much love, peace, and namaste.